oleh Event Cerdas, mitra transformasi digital Anda, dan media partner diskom.web.id, portal IT, dan Law Indonesia. This webinar activity is part of Aptiknas, Indonesian ICT Business Association, supported by Event Cerdas, your digital transformation partner, and media partner diskom.web.id, Indonesia IT and Law Portal. Kegiatan ini akan dimoderator oleh Fanky Christian, selaku Ketua Aptiknas DKI Jakarta. This webinar will be moderated by Fanky Christian, Regional Chairman of Aptiknas Jakarta. Silakan Pak Fanky.
Baik, terima kasih Amanda. Selamat siang Bapak Ibu, rekan-rekan sekalian. Selamat datang dalam kegiatan webinar kita setiap Kamis siang. Dan kali ini kita masih membahas seri dari Fault Tolerant System ya. Nah, Fault Tolerant System pada siang kali ini kita kedatangan tamu dari teman-teman dari Motadata ya. Motadata. Kita akan bahas mengenai Untitled Fault Tolerant System with Motadata. Nah, ini telah hadir bersama kita tim dari Motadata. Saya greetings dulu ya. Greetings to Mr. Rahul Sagar. Mr. Rahul Sagar, ya. Mr. Kavit Gobel, Mr. Visal, Mr. Raj, ya. They all from Motadata team, ya. Welcome to join our webinar today, Motadata teams.
Hello, thank you, Fanky. Welcome everyone.
Ya, baik. Itu adalah narasumber kita ya, nanti yang akan sharing bersama kita adalah Mr. Rahul Sagar. Nah, sebelum masuk ke dalam materi yang nanti akan disampaikan oleh Mr. Rahul, saya izin mengarahkan terlebih dahulu ya terkait dengan tema kita pada siang kali ini ya. Kita akan bicara mengenai Untangled Fault Tolerant System ya. Jadi saya ulang lagi dari apa yang kita bicarakan di minggu lalu. Jadi fault tolerance system ini adalah bagaimana kita bisa memastikan sistem tetap bisa beroperasi meskipun terjadi adanya failure ya, adanya kegagalan. Nah, jadi sistem ini juga harus memiliki komponen yang tentu bisa memastikan tetap bisa berfungsi. Nah, salah satu cara yang nanti akan kita lakukan adalah salah satu cara yang akan kita lakukan nanti kita akan melihat solusi yang disampaikan nanti oleh Motadata, bagaimana mereka bisa memonitor ya dan mencari penyebab atau root cause ya. Nah, ini yang nanti kita akan coba lihat bersama pada kesempatan kali ini. Nah, jadi memang kalau bicara tentang fault tolerance system ini memang harus memiliki persiapan ya. Jadi kondisi dan sistem yang memang juga tetap bisa berfungsi berjalan meskipun terjadi gangguan ya. Nah, yang nanti kita akan coba fokuskan pada siang kali ini adalah apa yang mungkin secara umum, secara global disebutnya sebagai root cause analysis ya. Bagaimana mengerti permasalahannya, kemudian bagaimana menemukan permasalahannya. Nah, ini kita akan menggunakan toolsnya dari Motadata. Dan ini digunakan untuk bisa membantu tempat Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan sekalian untuk bisa menemukan permasalahan yang terkait dengan jaringan, terkait dengan server, terkait dengan network ya, terkait dengan bandwidth gitu ya, terkait dengan log ya. Jadi itu solusinya semua bisa dimonitor dan dicari tahu penyebabnya atau root cause-nya dengan menggunakan produk dari Motadata. Ya, jadi bagaimana Motadata bisa membantu itu yang nanti kita akan dengar presentasinya dari Mr. Rahul Sagar ya. Oke, jadi itu adalah awalan dari saya. Nanti kita akan langsung dengar slide presentasi. Setelah itu nanti demo dari produk Motadata yang akan disampaikan oleh Mr. Rahul Sagar. Oke, Rahul. Halo. Yes.
Thank you, Fanky.
Yeah.
So
you can start your presentation.
Okay, I'll just start. Yes. Thank you very much. I'll just share my screen. All right. So, Fanky, is the screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. Great. So thank you, Fanky, for the quick introduction and to tell us about the importance of fault tolerance. And it's an important topic, and a lot of businesses rely on a fault tolerant system. And we'll talk about it further, what Fanky has already spoken about. But before that, I'll just quickly share the agenda for today, which is I'll go through the company overview, to tell you more about Motadata as a company, and we'll talk about fault tolerance and why it is necessary. Then what are the best practices for fault tolerance, and then how monitoring and Motadata can add value in fault tolerance systems, right? And then the Motadata product offerings. And then we'll open up for question and answers. So that's the agenda for today. Talking about Motadata as a company, we are primarily a product company. We have two solutions basically. One is from the monitoring perspective. We do infrastructure monitoring, network, servers, etc. And then we have a portfolio for service management that includes your ticketing, asset management, patch management, etc. So basically, we were established in 2010. We are an India-based company having presence in more than 25 countries across the globe. We have 150 workforce, mostly dedicated to our internal R&D teams. Then we have 250 plus partners as we speak, right? And in terms of total customer base, we have, around 25K customers across the globe, 25,000 customers across the globe. That includes the APAC region, the Middle East region, the US region, etc. So the segments that Motadata serves are primarily telecom, government, and enterprise. So our products are being used across these segments for the infrastructure monitoring, for the service management, etc. In terms of awards and recognitions, we are recognized by Gartner, Deloitte, and IDC. And some of the other key features we'll just talk about in further slides. So to add on to the verticals that we serve, so we are present in enterprise segment. It could be banking, financial, healthcare, manufacturing. In the government side, we do a lot of statewide FTTX projects, surveillance projects, smart city projects. Talking specifically about smart city projects, we are one of the leading players in smart city in India. If I may talk about the numbers, out of 27 smart cities running in India, 17 are running on Motadata. So we are very, very active in those spaces. And then apart from that, we are also actively working on the CSP space and other enterprise segments like IT-enabled segments. Right. So that's a brief about the verticals that we cover at Motadata. Now let's jump on to the topic for today, which is fault tolerance. And let's just understand what exactly is a fault tolerant system, or when we say fault tolerance, what exactly we mean. Right? So basically, it is the ability of a system to continue operating without any interruption. Right? The system could be a computer system, a network, a cloud system, or it could be any system which supports your business. So I guess you must have heard about terms like DC, DR, HA, right? So all these terms are nothing but supporting terms for a fault tolerant system. When we talk about HA, right, it means high available system. What it means is, if you have an HA system, even if one of the systems goes down, your business continues. Let's say, for example, we are having this webinar, which is hosted by Zoom. Right? So Zoom would have some HA or some systems configured in the backend. Even if the primary server of Zoom goes down, we'll still continue this business of webinar because it is a fault tolerant system. It has the architecture built in such a way that if the primary system is going down, we'll still be able to continue with this particular webinar. So that's the beauty of having a fault tolerant system. So why is it necessary? To continue with this example of our Zoom webinar, right? If, say, for example, if Zoom did not have a fault tolerant system made, if something goes down on its server, our webinar would have been disrupted. We would have to stop the webinar, and the business would have to be stopped. So that should never happen. So that is the that is why this building a fault tolerant system is very, very important. If I may call it, it is a mission critical system. Without a fault tolerant system, businesses would not survive. To give you a context of certain examples. So there was an airline which had some outage caused in its data center, right? So, and it was way back in 2016, and there were the fault tolerant system was not made in such a way that the businesses could have continued if a primary or let's say secondary of the servers went down. So that caused around 2,000 flights to be grounded. And if you talk about the dollars which were lost, around $150 million were lost because this architecture was not built in such a way that it could have, suffered this kind of outage. The architecture was not HA or fault tolerant system. So that was a huge loss. To give you another example, on June 27, 2018, there is an instant communication service, okay, which went down because there was some issue at the primary site of the OEM or the company, and it caused a big business disruption. And these two examples that we are talking about are, some of the leading companies in their own domain. So this is why a fault tolerant system is very, very critical for businesses to run. So now that we have understood what is fault tolerant system, why it is so important, let us also understand what are the best practices that should be used when we are designing a fault tolerant system. So monitoring plays a huge role in building a fault tolerant system. Monitoring systems would tell you when a primary or a secondary server is going down so that a proactive action can be taken. Monitoring systems these days are built on AI and ML, which can maybe predict all these kind of faults for you well in advance so that the business owners can take appropriate action at the right time before the fault even occurs. So that's why having a monitoring system, that too a proactive monitoring system, is very, very critical to designing a fault tolerant system. So in the monitoring space, we have now something called AIOps. It is AI-enabled operations that has the machine learning capability, and it has algorithms for giving you a predictive analytics. It has algorithms for detecting the anomalies. It can also do forecasting. A lot of stuff is being added to the AIOps domain. So this is a huge advantage for business owners when it comes to designing a fault tolerant system. So this is one of the best practices. Apart from, of course, there are others as well, but we are talking about the monitoring solution. and which is one of the most critical parts of the entire fault tolerant system. So that's the best practices in terms of designing a fault tolerant system. Now that we have understood the fault tolerant system and what are the best practices, let us now understand what can Motadata do when it comes to designing a fault tolerant system. So Motadata has a product for monitoring using AI-enabled features. Right? So it's called Motadata 8.0, which has all the AI capabilities, and it gives you the features that you would really require for designing a fault tolerant system, like predictive analytics, anomaly detection, event correlation, forecasting, etc. Just to give you an example, let's say it gives you event correlation. Right? So if and with the huge amount of data these days the systems are generating, AIOps product can correlate all that data and give you meaningful insight and tell you where exactly is the anomaly going to happen. What kind of errors can be expected in future. It can even give you prediction about different types of issues that you might face. And on top of it, it also gives you freedom to take automatic action on those issues well in advance, so that you do not enter or you do not end up in an issue that causes your business to go down. So that's the beauty about AIOps. It gives you a lot of insights well in advance. So this is one way wherein Motadata can really help you in designing a fault tolerant system. Some of the other features that Motadata would give you in terms of designing a fault tolerant system is it is a pre-integrated solution with ITSM. So your ticketing and all those workflows and everything gets taken care of. The moment there is an issue, you would obviously as a company would rely on the ticketing system for an engineer to own that ticket and take action on that. So that entire end-to-end flow is being taken care by Motadata. So let's say there is a predictive error that's going to happen. So Motadata can actually create a ticket well in advance. It would get assigned to an engineer, and they can take an action well in advance, even before the fault occurs. So that's one huge advantage that we have at Motadata. So that's about the fault tolerant system and how to design and what kind of best practices are being followed. We'll quickly touch upon the product offering that we have at Motadata. So one of the monitoring product that we have at Motadata is called Motadata IIP. It's a unified monitoring platform for your entire infrastructure. So your infrastructure could include servers, network, anything that you have for which you would require monitoring. So it has all the native protocol support, be it PowerShell, SNMP, etc. Everything, whatever that you would need in terms of protocol support is already there in Motadata mostly. And all the major vendors. Do we have any question?
We will have that question answered in the Q&A session. You can continue.
Sure. So in terms of multi-vendor support, all the leading vendors, be it from the server side or the network side, all are covered. All are out of the box. They're all pre-configured, so you do not have to worry about doing any kind of development on top of the product. So it gives you a unified single pane of glass. Right? So when I say single pane of glass, all the features like the monitoring, the log, the configuration management, everything comes as a single pane of glass. Everything is pre-integrated. And then it gives you a root cause with context, what Fanky talked about in the beginning of the webinar. So Motadata is capable of giving you a root cause with a proper context. So that's the difference, right? So it gives you a context of what kind of a root cause is there for a potential problem. Right? in terms of third-party integration, out of the box, Moderator comes with plugins for different third-party vendors. So you do not have to worry about integration effort, which it consumes a lot of time when you actually go into an implementation of a monitoring product. This integration is a huge pain. So that is an advantage with Moderator because it comes out of the box with plugins pre-developed. So then the other features like multi-tenancy and highly scalable with RPs, proactive alerts with context. So all those features come out of the box from Moderator IIP. So this particular monitoring platform is a critical solution for designing your fault tolerant system, because this is where all your alarms, all your faults will be monitored proactively. And this would be obviously pre-integrated with your ticketing solution. So end-to-end, integration is already there. So you don't have to worry about if the ticket has been created or if the fault has occurred, who is going to take the ownership. All those things end-to-end gets covered in the Moderator product itself. So the key use cases for this particular product, like we talked about, servers, applications, network availability plus performance. Then you can monitor different sites from a central location. Let's say you have multiple sites for a manufacturing industry, right? Or you have multiple data centers. You have a data center at one place and data DR at other places. So you can monitor all those sites from a central location. Then it gives you a root cause analysis and correlation. Then it also takes care of your SLA management. And you can also do your network configuration changes from the Moderator product itself. And then other things like device health, disk space, CPU, memory, everything gets covered in this particular product. So the key highlights of this product are, one is in terms of the data it can handle, and the other is in terms of data it can retain. So there is actually no limit on the data that can actually be retained. Then it has probably one of the lowest TCOs in the industry because there are a lot of important features, like it comes with a virtual appliance and all that. It comes with an inbuilt ClickHouse database, which is a time series database. So all those come inbuilt. So that's probably one of the reasons why it has the lowest TCO. It has a plugin driven architecture, which enables you to add or integrate any new device or any new technology without having to do any change in the architecture of the product. So that's a huge advantage. So on the go, you can just integrate any new device into the monitoring system. And it is scalable in terms of you can scale it vertically as well as horizontally. So that's the key platform highlights that we have. The other product in this particular platform is called Motadata DAP. It is primarily for the log analytics. So it can take care of all your network logs, application logs, server logs, or any kind of custom logs that you may have. You may have some legacy devices or some legacy infrastructure, for which the logs, it's not a standard log. So we can take care of that custom logs as well. In terms of monitoring the network traffic, we take care of, we support the NetFlow, SFlow, JFlow, IPFix, everything. So the entire log analytics in terms of what kind of log it is covered, what kind of protocols are there, all those things are covered in this particular product. So some of the key features of this product for data analytics, it takes care of your end-to-end traffic monitoring, and it has a centralized log management. So all your logs, be it from the network or server, whatever, all gets analyzed at a central location. There is a central log management facility. Then it also gives you a compliance reporting. So basically, you have these audit logs and all that, which you, as a compliance, you might need to, share it with external audit agencies. So all those compliance reporting comes out of the box from this particular platform. Then some of the other features like the bandwidth utilization based on the protocols or the users or the applications, all those features are there in this particular data analytics platform. So what are the use cases basically for this log analytics? So you can use this particular platform for your bandwidth monitoring, either for IP addresses or the users or the applications. It can also help you in identifying the unauthorized user. So from the who has logged in, who is using this, who has done a wrong login, some wrong password is entered. All those things can be monitored from this particular platform. Then it also gives you the compliance reporting, which can help you in the government regulations. It can also track down the suspicious activities based on the logs that it receives. And then the traffic conversions by duration and by volume, be it HTTP or HTTPS, all that can be done using this particular platform. So the next product we have is called Network Configuration Manager. It is basically for managing your configuration of the network. You can push your configurations from a centralized location. You can, do the audit and all that using this particular platform. So you can also roll back the configuration just in case it is, not the correct configuration. All those things can be done using this particular platform. You can do a network compliance for the for using this particular product. You can do a backup, configuration backup for a number of times. Then you have a centralized device configuration that you can do using this particular product. So some of the key features, some of them we have already talked about. So you can manage the configuration from a central GUI. You can upload the configuration, you can label them, you can compare, view, all that can be done using NCM. Then automatic configuration for change, backup, and restore can be done. So you can basically automate the configuration changes instead of going to the devices manually, individually, or on multiple devices. So that it saves a huge amount of time for the configuration changes that you might intend to do. Then it will also monitor the changes that are happening on the configuration side of the network. So all those, whenever there is a change in configuration, it will give you an alert, and that alert can be an SNMP alert, or a ticket can be raised. All those things are possible. Then it also does your security compliance. Then it takes care of the entire configuration history that has been done, what all changes have been done on the device. All those configuration changes can be saved. Then of course you get to know the auditing and compliance for all the device configuration. And then notification can be done for any kind of changes in the configuration. And on top of it, it has a pre-integrated support for most of the network device vendors like Cisco, Juniper, etc. So you save a lot of time here because there is a pre-integrated support. You don't have to do any kind of manual configuration and all that. So that's the key benefits of NCM. Talking about some of the clients that we have at Motadata, both in India and internationally. We have companies like NEC. I'm sure you know NEC Japan. So that's one of the customers that we have. Then we have a customer from Israel called Radwin. They are our deployment partners, basically. Then some of the telecom companies in India like Vodafone or Idea, MTNL. So they are primarily from the telecom sector that we have in India. And then some of the government projects we spoke about earlier, the smart cities and all that. So they are also part of our client list. So that's about the client list. We can open for the question and answer. Fanky, we can have a quick demo if time permits of the product, and then we'll open up for the question and answer.
Okay, how about this, Rahul? We have only one question now. Can we answer that first, because
Sure.
it contains 6 sub questions. I already pass it to your chat.
Okay.
Please check.
Okay, sure.
From Mr. Nanang Harijanto. Number 1, what is the generic definition of fault tolerance? I think you already mentioned in your slide, yeah. Number 2, how to ensure.
Yeah. So let me just
yeah.
Yeah. So Fanky, let me sorry to interrupt you. Let me first give a very generic definition of fault tolerance. It may not be about the monitoring solution and all, but fault tolerance would basically mean a system which is designed in such a way that even if there is some disruption, if there is some issue with the system, the business would still run. So it is designed in the backend in such a way that any issue that happens at the system, the users would not be affected. Users would not even know that there is a problem in the backend. The business will still continue. So that's the basic definition of fault tolerant system.
Okay, the second question.
Is that clear?
Yeah. The second question, how do you ensure fault tolerance?
Sure. So there are various aspects of ensuring a fault tolerance system. So one is, from the design point, you need to make sure that you have multiple systems which are in active state. So let's say if you have this, let's take about this Zoom itself. If this particular session is running on a particular server, there must be another server which is running in parallel in active mode, so that if this particular server goes down, Fanky, no one knows that actually there is a problem in the system. So the secondary server, takes over. So that's one part. The another part is monitoring those servers. It's very important that you monitor what are the faults. Until unless you monitor, you cannot manage and you cannot improve. That's the industry best practice. You first monitor, then manage, and then improve. So monitoring is a key aspect for designing a fault tolerant system. Yeah.
Okay. The third question, what is fault tolerance technique?
Okay. Technique. I think this is a similar question to second. A technique would be to make sure that you have the design in a proper fashion, wherein you have active systems, and then you have a monitoring system as well, just to take care of whenever there is a fault. The system gives you a proactive alert so that you can take action. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 4, I think it's already mentioned. What is the fault tolerance important?
So important is because it is critical to the business, right? Because if you do not have a fault tolerant system, and if something goes wrong in your system and you do not have fault tolerant mechanism, you will suffer losses in the business. It could be it's not just an IT thing, right? It may not be just a technology thing. Even if the manufacturing site, if you can see, if a system goes down, there is a loss to the business. So everywhere you'll have a system which is designed for fault tolerance across all the domains. Yeah.
Okay, the fifth question, what is the good example of fault tolerance?
Good example. Okay, I think this is a very good question. So the good example would be systems like, let's say, Facebook, right? Or let's say Google. They have a huge number of users, and their system is designed in such a way that they have multiple active systems. They have multiple, monitoring systems in place wherein they can proactively see what's going on in the system. So that would be a good, a good example of a fault tolerant system.
Yeah, I can. Then the last question is, what is the difference between the fault tolerance and high availability?
Okay, excellent. So it is probably very much similar when we talk about a highly available system. That is actually a fault tolerant system, right? So an HA solution can it's generally used in terms of the IT industry, wherein you have multiple sites or an active site for a data center. Right? Fault tolerant is more of a generic term, wherein it can be applied to any kind of domain, not just the IT domain.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, itu
All right.
ya, that's all. Oke, Pak Nanang, cukup clear ya. Okay, we have another one from Pak Ibnu Dimar. Okay, Pak Nanang, okay, clear. Pak Ibnu Dimar bertanya, Ibnu Dimar asking about what is the
advantage
oh no, not advantage. The key difference, yeah, Motadata compared to other application, the similar application. So the second question, if they already used another system, let's say another NMS system, how is it possible they can migrate to Motadata?
Sure. So let me address the first question, and which is, how is Moderator different from the competition? Yes. So the first point is we have a pre-integrated monitoring plus ITSM solution, whereas in the market, if you see, some players would be purely monitoring, some players would be purely ITSM vendors. Whereas in our case, both the platforms we offer are pre-integrated. We offer a unified single pane of glass for the products like log analytics, configuration management, monitoring, which is not present in the competition. Then we have some of the key benefits that we have is our solution comes with an inbuilt database, which is a time series database. To tell you about the time series database, it is actually the database built for monitoring systems. Okay, so we offer an inbuilt database. It's called a ClickHouse database. We don't have to procure a database separately. Databases are usually, very, very costly stuff to purchase, to maintain, right, to support. Yes. So that's a huge advantage. So our application comes with as a virtual appliance. So you don't have to worry about the installation complexities and all that. You just have to run the file that we provide, and the installation gets done. And similarly, the implementation timeline are very, very short because of the pre-integrated stuff that we have, the virtual appliance-based solution that we have. So that's the advantage of Moderator. To address the second question, if you already have a monitoring solution in place, it could be, any solution. It is, yes, it is. It can be migrated to Moderator very easily.
Okay.
So if you would like to know more about it, we can, schedule a very, very specific demo for this migration thing, and we can also schedule a POC as well.
Okay. He has still another question, yeah. Number 3, sure. We already have some application, the integrated application. Is it possible that Moderator can integrate with another application? Number 4 is about licensing and after-sales support from Motadata. Number 5 is the minimum requirement for to deploy the Motadata.
Okay, sure. So in terms of application, if you have already applications which are pre-integrated, it can be monitored through Moderator for sure. So that's the answer for the first question. Fanky, sorry, what was the next question, please?
The licensing and after-sales support from Motadata.
Sure. So So licensing is, we have two methods for licensing. One is a perpetual kind of license, or one is the subscription based license. Annually, you can renew the licenses annually. Or perpetual is, of course, you have that license for an indefinite period of time. In terms of support, we have our own support team, which who are our own, employees in India. They would give you support, and we also extend the support through partners. So on a case-to-case basis, this can be extended as well.
Yeah. The number 5 is the minimum requirement for the Motadata implementation.
Okay, so minimum requirement is actually very minimum, maybe, and this has to be shared over an email or something. So Fanky, if you would be kind enough to take note of this, and we'll share the exact, requirements over an email, please.
Ya. Oke, untuk Pak Ibnu itu ya jawabannya, mudah-mudahan menjawab. Pak Ibnu dan Pak Nanang langsung dapat topi ya, langsung dapat topi keren dari Vencerdas ya, karena memberikan pertanyaan buat kita semua. Baik, oke, I think Rahul, you can continue with the demo first. So we will expecting another question after this.
Sure. Thank you very much. So Raj is there, and he would share his screen and initiate the demo.
Okay, Raj, your turn.
Raj, over to you, please.
Yeah, thanks, Rahul.
Silakan Bapak Ibu, kalau ada pertanyaan bisa sampaikan langsung di kolom chat, nanti kita bahas setelah sesi Q&A pas setelah demo ini ya. Silakan.
I hope my screen is visible to you all.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
this is the login platform page of the Motadata. So once you enter the URL into any of the web page, you can have such a login screen available, wherein we have role-based configurations available. So as per the role given to your user account, once you log in, you can have this UI available. So once you log in with your credential, such a main dashboard will be visible. So wherein you can have all of the different kind of all of the IT environment devices visibility available. So from the monitor group, you can find out like all of the different IT infrastructure devices you have discovered into Motadata platform. Whether it can be any of your routers, so any of your network devices, if you have any of the servers, whether it is Windows server, it is Linux server, or if you have any of the IBM servers available. So we are able to monitor all such a kind of network and server devices. Apart from that, if you have any of the cloud environment, so we are able to also monitor them from the Google, from the AWS, or if you have Azure platform, so Azure devices will be also there. So from the monitor group, you can have all these devices visibility available. But the main part will be like here we have the two of the most useful widgets available, which will give you the idea like what is happening into your whole IT infrastructure. So from the infrastructure availability, you can see that I have 204 devices into up status, and in down, I do not have any of the devices. So I can clearly see that I do not have any of the headache right now. But before any issue occurs or before any disaster happens, if I want to do a proactive monitor of each and every devices, so for that we have this fully customizable alert mechanism available, wherein if you monitor any kind of your IT environment devices, each and every KPIs which you are monitoring, you can have customization available into alert. So whenever those threshold has been breached, so let's take an example. Right now you are monitoring one of the Windows server or any of the Linux machine. So whenever that particular Linux machine CPU utilization goes on a higher side, or any of the disk of that particular Linux machine is getting full, so at that time your device or your Linux machine will not work properly. So before any kind of such things happen, you require a proactive alert. So for that, let's suppose this is the disk utilization alert. So whenever my disk is getting higher from the 98 percentage, I require a critical alert. Whenever it goes above 95, I require a major alert. And whenever it goes above 85, you require a warning alert. So these all values are configurable. So in some of the devices, if they are very critical for you, you can set alert accordingly, and you can have such a conditions available. So this is a pretty easy configuration in the solution for all of the alert mechanism. and post that you can have different actions available, whether you can have a SMS alert available if you want to generate a trap, if you want to have an email notification. And as Rahul told in the presentation, like we have a tight integration between NMS and the ITSM solution. So what you can do is you can have directly ticket available into the ITSM solution whenever any such a kind of alert has been generated. In our ITSM solution, we have automation capabilities available. So on the basis of the ticket which is generated, you can have that ticket automatically assigned to any of the IT person who can then directly take care of those kind of tickets. So that way, on the basis of such a alert configuration in the infrastructure health, we will showcase you like what kind of alert and what is the condition of each and every devices. So here you can see that my 18 of the devices, they are into critical state. So this is some worrying thing for me. So I can directly go to those critical devices. And I can see that there are one of the HTTP URL which is having 404 error. There are a couple of Linux servers which are having some of the issues. So I'll just open one of the server and I can see like there are 4 critical alert available. So you can see that the different color codes are available. On the basis of that, you can have that severity available. So there are 6 major alert and 6 warning alerts are available. So I'll just focus on the critical alert. I want to see like which are the main alerts. So my one of the disk DM1, it is having a 47 disk queue length. So that's why I'm having one of the critical alert. Apart from that, further all KPIs are also available into the severity itself. So that way you can have each and every device's severity available, and you will find out like which are the KPIs which have breached the threshold, and because of that this health status is available for the device. So that way, from with the help of this two widget, you can have your device's visibility available. Apart from that, from the main dashboard, when you scroll down, we will give you the idea like all of the different kind of IT devices which you have discovered. Among them, which are the devices with the higher amount of CPU utilization, which are the devices which is having higher amount of memory utilization, which are the top 10 or the top alerts which occurred in the recent time. So you can see that right in the particular Linux server, which is 98.219, the Moderator server is having a higher CPU utilization. Apart from that, there is one of the firewall with the IP address 13.13. Its DMZ port is down right now. So those kind of information will be available from the dashboard. So with the help of this information, you can have an eagle eye view available on your whole IT infrastructure. Furthermore, let me just showcase you one of the device, and I'll just give you the idea like what kind of information will be available once you add any of the device into Motadata platform. So let's suppose there is one of the Windows server you want to monitor. So once you install or add this device into Motadata, so when in a glance view, you can have the basic information available about the device. So let's suppose at 9 a.m. morning, you come to office and you want to see like what happened into this particular Windows machine in last 12 hours. Or there are some of the complaint regarding that particular machine has been given by any of the end users. So you can see that what is happening to this device for the last 20 hours, 12 hours. So from here, I can clearly see that everything is green. So there were no issues into the particular device. But if I see any of the red color or any of the orange colors, and when I can click on that and I can find out like any of the particular alert which occurred into the device. Furthermore, if I want to see like what is the other KPIs or what is the information that I get into this particular device. So on a single click, I can have all these informations available. So when I go to the device from the system details, I can have all of the basic information about this Windows machine available or any of the Windows server. Furthermore, I will get each and every system metrics. What is the current CPU load metrics, memory pressure, what is the current network utilization by this particular Windows server. And these all information, we have a historical analysis or the forensic analysis capability available. So with the help of that, you can drill down to any of the KPIs. So when I just go to the CPU utilization, I can get like what was my CPU utilization for this 1.1 Windows machine for the last 1 year. So as well as when I scroll up, I can have all this data available in a trend wise. So I can get information for the last month, last week, previous day, last 24 hours. And again, all this information, I can furthermore drill down and I can have all of the raw data available. So like at which particular time, what was the CPU utilization? And further, all this information I can get into PNG, JPG, and a CSV format. So let's suppose if you require a last 1 hour trend, you can get it into PNG, JPG, CSV format. Apart from that, if you require a whole report, you can simply go to the action and you can export all this report into Excel or a PDF format. So this is not only just for the CPU utilization. You can have all this information available for each and every KPI which you are monitoring for all of the devices. Furthermore, you will get all of the disk related information, like what is each and every disk utilization is there. All of the disk IO related information will be there. What is each and every interface port has been utilizing, each and every processes and services which are running on your Windows and Linux machine. You can have the their information available. Apart from that, here we have a self remedy or the healing option also available. So let's suppose any of your critical services goes down. So because of that, let's suppose your AD server is down, and because of that AD service is down from your Windows server. So none of your employees, they are able to log into the domain. So at the same time, you generate a ticket, then that particular person, they can start the service. But here we have the option available, like this is the particular Active Directory service. If it goes down in the backend, we can directly go to your Windows machine and we can start that service automatically for you. So those kind of configurations are also available into the Motadata platform. So that's it regarding all of the device related information. I'll not waste more time showing further more devices. I'll just quickly go to the dashboard and I'll show you like what kind of customizable dashboard we can give to you. So this is the generic view from the main dashboard. You can have the eagle eye view available. Post that for your different department, if you want to create a separate dashboard, it will be also available. So as in the demo Rahul told you, like we have the 3 modules available. In each and every modules, you can have the different capabilities available. So from the IIP, you will get all of the performance KPI. Post that from the depth, you can have log and flow configurations and their views available. So quickly, I'll just show you like one of the network dashboard. So once such a dashboard has been created for your network team, and post that whenever they logs in, they will get a whole information regarding each and every network devices. And this is just for the demo purpose. In general, whenever you deploy the Moderator as per your requirement and whatever the scope of work you have defined, my implementation team, they will create such a dashboards for you. So this is one of the dashboard for the network guy. So once they log in, they want to see like what is happening into all of the devices which are there from the network segment. So from the network availability today, I can see that there are 5 switches, 3 router and 2 firewall are there into my organization. So their uptime is 100% since last time when they are into up status. Post that, I can see that which are the devices which is having higher latency. So I can see that these are the 5 devices which is having higher RTT. But again, this is on the lower values like 13 and 11. So this is not anything which is worrying for me. Post that I have flow data forwarded from my one of the firewall. So with the help of that, I just want to see like which are the top 5 IP addresses in my infrastructure which is having higher amount of bandwidth consumption. So I can clearly see that these are the all IP addresses which is having higher bandwidth consumption, and at that time how much amount of data they have utilized, plus which application they have used and which protocol has been utilized. So I can clearly see that rather than Zoom and the HTTPS, I can see that iTunes and Twitter is also there, which is utilized by my employees. So I can drill down furthermore and I can have the exact IP addresses available who have utilized all these iTunes and Twitter. Post that when I scroll down, so in this current pandemic era, most of the users, they are working from home. So I have forwarded log data from my firewall, which I use to create a VPN tunnel. So from wherein I'll get the information, like whenever any of the user they logs into the company network, I'll get such a notification. Apart from that, at the same time, I'll get the idea like with which remote IP address they have logged in, and whenever they create a session, at that time how much amount of data they have utilized. And post that, I have created this one of the widget which will give me the idea like which are the top 10 users who is having higher amount of data utilization. And furthermore, from the flow data, I have gathered this information like in my environment which are the top 10 devices which is having higher amount of, or which are the application which is mostly utilized and which has done the most bandwidth consumption. So I can see that my most of the consumption is from the HTTP and HTTPS protocol. But again, as I saw earlier, I have the Spotify, Facebook, and such applications are also there, which is utilized by the user. So such a kind of widget and the dashboards will be available, and post that This all information you can fetch into Excel or a PDF format. And here we do not have any of the data retention. So let's suppose if you are monitoring any of the devices you have discovered into Motadata from 2 years. So as and whenever you require a whole report for the 2 years, it will be available for you. Fanky, can we continue? Hello, Fanky.
Sorry, yeah, continue.
It's almost 1:30. So shall we continue for further 10 to 15 minutes?
Yes, okay, it's okay.
Yeah. Thanks. So that way, from these all dashboards, you can have network related information. Same way, I have created one dashboard for the server team as well as. So whenever any server guys logs in, they can have these all informations available regarding each and every server which is discovered. So whether it is Linux machine, Windows machine, if you have any further OSs available like Mac, you can add them. Post that, you can have all of the such a different widget which will give you the idea like which are the top 10 disk Windows machine which is having higher amount of disk utilization, which are the top 10 Windows machine wherein CPU utilization is on a higher side. So such all different widget will be available. And again, this all information you can fetch into Excel or a PDF format. So such a way you can have all these dashboards available predefined as well as. So let's suppose for the firewall, if you want to just see like which are the all alert occurred on the weekly basis. So such a alert configuration will be there, which will give you the idea like most of the alerts were for the I can see the service down alerts were there in the higher side. Post that, I can see that there are the firewall interface availability which is having this amount of alerts. So I can drill down again and I can have all the information in the brackets also available. So at which particular time which port went down, this all information will be available. So I can see that my management port was in a down status on this particular 10th June at 1:33 p.m. So the auditing report will be also there for you. Apart from that, as we have the DAP module available, you can send a log from any of the network devices, any of the custom application you have into your Windows or Linux machine, or if you have any of the database which you want to monitor from the Windows or Linux machine, that kind of information will be also available. So I'll just give you the example. So if any of you are having a requirement for the Active Directory monitoring, so on a quarterly basis, if you are having Active Directory auditing, and if you want to see like how many of the user have been created so far, how many users has been deleted, so such a view will be available for you. So I can see that there are 5 users which has been created today, and if I want to drill down and want to see like which users have been created and by whom those users has been created, so I can see that the account domain was the Motadata and the taste, and the user which was created was these are the all name of the users which has been created, and the administrator Jaimin Kanpur, they have created all these users. So you can have the event ID available. Also you will get the time at which time those user has been created. So such a way you can have the whole report also available, wherein you will get all of the user which is deleted, users which account has been disabled, which user has been modified. Such all information regarding Active Directory will be there for you. Yeah, and lastly, I'll just want to, in the IIP module, I'll just give you a highlight of the topology view. So such a topology you can create for your whole IT infrastructure, and you can have it as a full screen, and post that you can put it into a big TV screen wherein you will have each and every device's visibility available. So you can see like which all devices are connected with each other, and whenever they made a connection at that time over which Ethernet port and which link they are connected. So I can clearly see that this is the gigabit 25 and 31 port over which this router and this DB has been connected, and whenever the connection has been happen at that time, current what is the bandwidth utilization they are having, this information will be there. Apart from that, whenever this link goes down at that time, it will change its color code. So here you can see that the links are having green color code, and here they are having a red color code. So it clearly identifies like this particular link is down. Apart from that, whenever any devices they changes their status, the device here itself they will change a color. So you can see that these all devices they are into green color code, but these are the two firewall they are having a purple color code. So on the basis of that, I can find out like for the unreachable severity I'm having a purple color code. So that's why I can find out like any of the port which are there into this core router, they are unreachable state. So that way this topology will be helpful for you to identify any of the devices if they goes down, or any of the link they goes down. So that's all regarding the DAP and the IIP portion. So lastly, I'll just give you a quick walkthrough for the NCM module of the Motadata, which is network configuration management, where we can do a configuration backup for switches, router, and firewall. So once you add all these devices into Motadata over the SSH, Telnet, or NetConf protocol, you can have each and every device's access available from the devices tab, wherein you can filter out them with the help of department. And post that, whenever you want to take their SSH, you can directly have the terminal access available. Just provide the username and password, and you can log into the device. So you don't need to worry to go to any of the putty or SSH and then take access of those devices. You can simply search the IP address over here or a device name, and you can take the terminal access. Post that, whenever any backup is required, so on a day-to-day basis, we will take a backup of each and every devices. So that way you can manage all the backups, and in each and every backup we will give the versioning to them. So let's suppose this is the startup backup. So we will take running configuration and startup configuration backup of all of your these network devices, and post that we will give the versioning. So whenever any change has been identified in any of the devices, post that any second backup which will be taken, it will showcase as a newer version. And here we have a baseline feature available. So let's suppose this is the one of the backup, startup backup, which is well working or well known for all of your network devices. So you can put it as a baseline. And now let's suppose any disaster happens. So any of your network guys, they have made some changes into the configuration, and because of that your network is down and nothing is working properly. So at that time you will not go to find a root cause. The main thing which will come for you is to start that device or make that device working properly again. So that, for that, to mitigate that particular issue, we have this feature available wherein you can simply come to the Motadata platform. You find out like this is the baseline backup, so which will well known and well working for all of your devices. You just select it, just go to the restore tab and select all of the devices which are not working properly. Select them, click on the restore. So remotely we will go to all those devices and we will restore the backup. So that way again those devices will start working properly, as this is the well working backup for you. Apart from that, post that you want to see like what was the root cause and why that device stopped working properly. Suppose that what you can do is you can have that baseline backup available, and you will choose a backup which you have done earlier, and because of that your device was not working properly, and you can compare both of the backup. So in the comparison, what we will do, we will showcase you each and every line which will be modified in a different way. So whenever any line will be modified, you can have a yellow color code available. Whenever we find out like any lines have been added, we will showcase them with the red color code, and whenever any line has been deleted, it will be showcased as a red color code. So that way both of the backup will come side by side, and you can compare all of the configuration which is available. And apart from that, whenever any backup are there, newly backups, and the backup has been taken, suppose that if you want to see like what is the configuration available into device, so you did not want to do a SSH of that device, and then you want to type a command like show running configuration, show startup configuration, you can simply click on this view tab, and you can have all of the configuration backup related information available. So this is regarding the backup management of the devices. Apart from that, in the NCM itself, we have bulk updation available. So wherein this action tab will be visualized. So generally when we do a network monitoring of the devices, it happens over the SNMP protocol. And for that, you need to enable SNMP in each and every device. So let's suppose you want to add your 100 of switches into Motadata for the SNMP monitoring. So what you need to do is, generally what you will do, you will go to those 50 devices, you will type a command to enable SNMP, and post that you can discover into Motadata. But let's suppose you have those devices discovered into Motadata NCM module, and those are the Cisco switches. So I can simply navigate to switches. I'll go to Cisco system. I'll select the template which configure the SNMP service for me. I'll click on it. I'll click the execute. I'll select all of the devices on which I want to configure NCM. I'll click on the execute action and post that remotely on all those 50 devices. NCM configuration will be available. So on a few clicks, you can have all kind of these configurations available. And we do not have any vendor specification available. So as I showed you the Cisco, we are not only supporting Cisco. If any Mac and model devices which will be there in your infrastructure, we can have such a facility available. You can create a new template as well as if you want to configure any further things, it will be available. Yeah, that's all from my side. If you guys have any question or query, floor is open to you. Yeah, over to you, Fanky.
Thank you, Raj. Silakan Bapak Ibu, rekan-rekan kalau ada yang mau tanya terkait dengan produk Motadata. Tadi kita mencatat banyak hal ya terkait dengan apa yang bisa dilakukan oleh Motadata. Raj, just a quick question, Raj.
Yeah, Fanky.
Can you show me the EAOps feature? I saw before the slide in the Rahul slide, yeah, is very interesting. Motadata EAOps for predictive analytics, anomaly detection, event correlation, forecasting. Is there any? Yeah.
So Frankie, in this particular demo site, we do not have the 8.0 version. Okay, this the demo site that Raj was showing, it is actually 7.5. Okay.
Okay.
So 8.0 version has not been uploaded on the demo site as of now. But the moment we do that, we can notify you, and then we can arrange a similar session on 8.2 as well.
Oke, thank you Rahul. Jadi tadi ada pertanyaan dari Pak Mario tentang demo ya, demo trial atau demo nanti akan dikirimkan oleh tim kami terpisah ya. Di sini ada Mbak Yesi dan Mbak Nurma nih nanti yang akan mengirimkan linknya. Silakan Bapak Ibu, apakah masih ada pertanyaan terkait dengan materi kita pada siang kali ini? Kalau ada silakan kita bahas sebentar dengan para narasumber kita dari Motadata. Masih ada satu topi nih. Sebenarnya tiap event ada jatah 3 topi nih. Masih ada satu topi pertanyaan. Untuk yang bisa memberikan pertanyaan akan diberikan topi ya. Ada yang mau bertanya secara langsung? Atau lewat chat juga boleh. Oke, saya minta Amanda dulu guide kita untuk foto bersama ya. Rahul, after this I will ask about your closing remark ya. Silakan Amanda.
Oke. Bapak, Ibu, rekan-rekan, silakan aktifkan video. Kita akan foto bersama. Kita capture dulu ya. Kak Aldi atau Kak Putri tolong capture.
Silakan aktifkan videonya Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan. Kita mau capture bersama dulu. Aldi monitor.
Ya Pak.
Ya silakan di capture dulu.
1, 2, 3.
Satu lagi sudah?
Sudah Pak.
Oke. Rahul, your closing remark. Still on mute.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. I hope the session was useful for you. And in case you need any further information or any further details, please feel free to reach out to Fanky, and we can arrange a one-to-one session kind of demo with your team. So so Fanky will be the point of contact for all your further queries, and I will be happy to arrange any demo if required for you. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Rahul. Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan, itu adalah akhir dari sesi kita pada sore kali ini. Kita akan kembali membahas tentang data center availability terkait dengan fault tolerance ya di minggu depan tanggal 17 Juni dan 24 Juni nanti temanya berbeda. 24 Juni kita akan bahas tentang display teknologi ya. Jadi lebih ke wall display, signage system, dan juga smart smart meeting, solusi smart meeting ya. Kami juga ada mulai buat event offline. Event offline kita yang pertama nanti di acara Expo di Cikarang, di area Cikarang ya, di Geraha Pariwisata tanggal 23 dan 24 Juni ya. Silakan apabila Bapak Ibu lokasinya dekat-dekat dengan sana bisa mampir, kita bikin seminar offline tanggal 23 Juni. Ya, jadi tetap sehat, tetap semangat ya, sampai nanti kita bertemu di event kita selanjutnya. Once again, thank you so much for Motadata team, Rahul, Segar, Raj, Kevin, and Visal who joined this webinar today ya. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu, rekan-rekan sekalian, tetap sehat, tetap semangat, sampai bertemu kembali di minggu depan. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much.
Ya, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Fanky.
thanks a lot,
Terima kasih
Thank you,
semua
everyone.
Bapak Ibu.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Ya, thank you.